I'm Sally Mills from La Volta, and welcome to Digital Bullets. We put together a series of questions about issues and developments within the digital sector. We've asked some senior people and industry experts to give us their point of view. We've also given them 20 seconds to answer the questions or they get the chop. Hope you enjoy. The larger above-the-line agencies are still struggling with where to place digital in the scheme of things and how to organise themselves around it. Is digital simply another channel to market? How should an agency see digital, and what does this mean for how they organise themselves and respond to clients?
I fundamentally don't understand why agencies are not embracing digital media more than they are. Some are, but frankly the vast majority are just not, I don't think, doing enough by their clients. And the way that they could do that is by really evangelising and advocating digital media a lot more in the mix of traditional media. And hey, come and work with the IAB to do that.
It's really what's the idea, what's the client trying to accomplish, and then from that becomes the solution, the message and where you put that message. So my advice would be that digital, for example, and print people have to sit next to each other. They have to have the same KPIs, they have to have the same manager for there to be true integration, and so that we break down, we shouldn't even have the word digital versus above the line versus below the line. It's like, what's the answer?
The big difference that exists in any agency that's starting to get digital is that everybody lives and breathes it. They're passionate about it. They share links between each other about new things that are happening. They actually want to keep learning and absorbing it and getting into it. At the end of the day, it's often cultural. It's the culture of the organisation and the sort of mutual respect and understanding of what digital is and the importance of it as a media channel that typically differentiates those agencies who are succeeding from those agencies that are failing.
We've all tried to organise it a lot of different ways. I mean, the point is that it's more than just a channel, and that's why they have so many problems with it. And traditional agencies have so many problems with what to do with it, how to buy it and how to measure it. I think the important thing is that digital has to be a separate team, but the way that it seems to work better, though, it has to be embedded in the broader agency.
I think one of the biggest problems that mainstream agencies have had with digital is that they've, in the past, and I think some of them still do today, always view digital as an add-on to their advertising campaign, and therefore didn't really give it the focus that it needed as part of any sort of marketing mix or marketing campaign. They really should start considering digital as being the core, and that every other medium is about driving traffic and to an online presence.
The sooner they stop treating it as some special case and start bringing digital into everything they do, because that's the way it's going to go, the better off they'll be. In the meantime, they're going to be sort of up against so the smart, nimble ones that do understand that, and will be going around them to the clients saying, please come and try this.
What I've actually found working with a number of agencies is that they always seem to take the easy approach when it comes to putting campaigns together for their clients. For example, they'll take a 50 or 100 grand spend and they'll spend it across the best, the 2 or 3 portals without really understanding who the markets are, doing research on the smaller sites out there that could actually be more effective from an ROI perspective. And what that tells me is that a lot of agencies out there, they're just too lazy to do the work on behalf of their clients. So there's an opportunity out there for those who aren't lazy.
Digital is fundamentally a below-the-line activity. The trouble is that above-the-line agencies haven't realised how to have a conversation with a brand, and yet that's what the audience wants. They want the conversation with the brand. Once the agencies have worked out how to have a conversation that can last 3 hours with the audience, that's when I think we'll see real engagement from brands and from the above-the-line agencies.
I think that brands have to recognise that the way they talk to their audience is predominantly through digital, that the messages and engagement they can have are best served through engagement digital, whether it's online or mobile. And I think that agencies have actually got to recognise that making a 30-second TVC might give them an awful lot of pleasure, but it's not working at the consumer sweet spot. There is no accounting of what goes on television, there is no accounting of audience, and yet in the digital environment we can count that. Brands have got to start demanding that their agencies become accountable for the return on investment, accountable for this consumer experience, And brands need to recognise that something like 44% of their consumer interaction is digital and start spending 44% of their consumer engagement money in the digital space.
I think the challenge for agencies is not just the fact that digital is in its infancy and reach and still growing in the number of people which it can reach, but it's also the lack of knowledge within the agencies themselves. That's a fundamental challenge for all of us that are trying to sell new digital media solutions, is spending and investing so much time in helping them understand how this fits into the bigger picture, the bigger communication strategy, rather than just an add-on the last minute of the campaign with the last couple of dollars on the budget.
The agencies mostly have separate divisions, and I think that's a great idea. I think integrating the businesses is a terrible idea because one business grows fast, the other business grows really slow, and the idea that you could keep up if you put it inside a mainstream business is just naive. And the most successful businesses from a revenue perspective have separated them.
I think there's been a really interesting evolution about digital media agencies. It started off as an element of a total fully integrated media agency. It's then become a spin-off, and now we're beginning to see that the epicentre of the future agency model is actually around digital, and in some respect the tail is wagging the dog. And that's where I see it. I think digital is so fundamental now to the media mix for any credible advertiser that ultimately it will become the cornerstone of the future creative and media agency.
I think a couple of years ago you could probably get away with it still being another channel to market. Now I think unless it's absolutely central to what you do, how you plan and how you think about your consumer, then you're in serious trouble over the medium term. So I think agencies have got to realise that the start point now will become digital because of the relationship the consumer has with media and advertising in digital, and that everything else will build around that rather than the other way around and the old logic that you start with your TVC and wind up putting the 30-second version of it on the web.